Chapter 4. Raskolnikov went straight to the old, green three-story house on the canal bank where Sonia lived. After getting vague directions from the porter, he found the dark courtyard staircase and made his way to the second floor gallery. Wandering in the dim light, a door opened right in front of him. Sonia, always trembling, holding a candle in a battered candlestick. Who's there? Raskolnikov. It's I. Come to see you. Sonia stood rooted to the spot, completely bewildered and visibly frightened by his sudden appearance. Her face flushed, tears welled in her eyes, and she was overcome by a chaotic mix of shame, fear, and unexpected joy. Raskolnikov quickly looked away and sat by the table, taking in the room with a rapid glance. It was a large, low-ceilinged room rented from the Capernaum family, shaped like an irregular, grotesque quadrangle. One corner formed a sharp, acute angle near the canal windows, while another was awkwardly wide. The place looked like an empty barn, stripped of almost all comfort. A plain table covered in a blue cloth, a few restaurant chairs, a bed without curtains, and a solitary wooden chest or drawers were the only objects in the vast, shady space. The yellowed about paper was stained black with winter dampness. Sonia watched him anxiously, trembling as standing before a judge. Raskolnikov, keeping his eyes down. All right, got that. I'm late. It's loud. Isn't it? Sonia. Yes. Oh, yes, it is. My landlady's clock just struck. Raskolnikov. I have come to you for the last time. I may not see you again. Sonia, voice shaking. Are you going away? Then you won't be coming to Katerina Ivanovna's tomorrow. Raskolnikov. I don't know yet. I will know tomorrow. But listen, why are you standing? Sit down. She said, and she looked at her, and he looked at her in sudden gentleness and pity, noticing how thin and transparent her hands were when he asked about her neighbors, the Capernaums. Sonia eagerly defended them, explaining that despite their physical disabilities and stammering, they were incredibly kind people with 7 children who often visited her. Raskolnikov, your father told me all about you before he died. He told me about your horse and how Katerina Ivanovna knelt by your bed. I suppose she used to beat you. Sonia dismayed. Oh no, what are you saying? No. Raskolnikov, you love her then? Sonia, wringing her hands in distress. Love her? Of course. You don't understand? Her mind is completely unhinged from sorrow. But she is so clever, so generous, and so pure. Pure. She has such faith that righteousness must exist everywhere, and she expects it as like a child. Even if she did hurt me, it doesn't matter. You know nothing about how unhappy she is. Sonia passionately defended her stepmother, weeping as she recounted how Katerina Ivanovna spent the entire day cleaning and washing despite coughing up blood, desperately clinging to a fancy of starting a boarding school in her native town. But the memories also brought Sonia immense guilt. Sonia, I've been so red today. Only a week before father died, I was so cruel to her. Father asked me to read to him from a book he borrowed. And I refused because I had brought some embroidered collars to show Katrina Ivanovna. She liked them so much and asked me to give them to her. I was selfish. I asked her what use they would to her. She looked so deeply grieved. For the collars, because I deceived her. If only I could take those words back. Raskolnikov. Did you know Lizaveta the peddler? She was surprised. Yes, did you know her? Raskolnikov, ignoring the question. Katrina Ivanovna will soon die. She is in rapid consumption. Sonia, clutching his hands. Oh, no. Raskolnikov pitilessly. It will be better if she does. But what will happen to the children? What if you get ill and are taken to the hospital tomorrow? They will all end up starving in the streets, and the police will drag her away. Can you say what money? Sonia whispering. No. Raskolnikov. It will be the same for little Polenka. She will end up on the same path as you. Sonia crying out in agony. No. God would not allow anything so awful. God will protect her. Raskolnikov with a bitter, cynical laugh. But perhaps there is no God at all. Sonia looked at him with unutterable reproach and broke into violent, heavy sobs. Raskolnikov paced the room for 5 minutes in silence. Finally, he stepped up to her, his eyes burning with a feverish intensity. He grabbed her shoulders, bent down, and kissed her foot. Sonia drew back in absolute terror. Sonia, what are you doing to me? Raskolnikov standing. I did not bow you down to you. I bowed down to all the suffering of humanity. I told an insolent man today that he wasn't worth your little finger, and that I honored my sister by having her sit beside you. Sonia frightened. You said that? To them? But I am dishonorable. Why would you say that? Raskolnikov. Not because of your sin, but because of your great suffering. But it is true. You are a great sinner, mostly because you have destroyed and betrayed yourself for absolutely nothing. You live in this filth that you loathe, yet you aren't saving anyone by it. Wouldn't it be 1,000 times better and wiser to just leap into the canal and end it off? Sonia, gazing at him with anguish. But what would become of them? Raskolnikov raised her face and realized that she already thought about suicide many times, but the sorrow of the helpless children had stopped her. He wondered how she had kept her sanity without sinking into true mental depravity. Looking around, he noticed an old, worn Russian translation of the New Testament lying in the chest of the drawers. Raskolnikov. Where did you get that book? Sonia. Lizaveta brought it to me. I asked her for it. Raskolnikov, startled by the connection. Lizaveta? Strange? Find me the story of the raising of Lazarus. Sonia, suddenly without looking up. It's in the fourth gospel. Raskolnikov. Find it and read it to me. Sonia hesitated, her heart hardened. She felt a deep reluctance to unveil her innermost sacred treasure to someone who didn't seem to believe, yet an intense, consuming desire to share it with him to go on. Her hands shook as she turned the pages and began to read it from the 11th chapter of St. John. Though her voice broke at first, she mastered her emotion. She read the verses distinctly, her voice ringing in sudden, powerful sense of triumph and joy. As she neared the account of the miracle, she read of Martha and Mary, of Jesus weeping at the grave, and of the doubt of the onlookers. In her heart, she desperately hoped that he too would hear and believe. Sonia, reading loudly, trembling with ecstasy, and she cried with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come forth!" And she that was dead came forth. She closed the book quickly, her body still shaking with fierce excitement. The candle ends flickered dimly in the battered candlestick, casting a faint light over the murderer and the harlot who had bound themselves together over the eternal book. Raskolnikov, face set with savage determination. I have abandoned my family today, my mother and my sister. I'm not going to see them again. I have broken with them completely. Sonia, amazed and horrified. What for? Raskolnikov. I have only you now. Let us go together. We are both accursed. So let us take the same road to the same goal. Sonia, stepping back in alarm. Go where? I don't understand. Raskolnikov. You'll understand later. You too have broken the law. You have laid hands on your own life. If you remain alone, you will go out of mind, just like me. We must stand together. We must break what must be broken, once for all, and take the suffering on ourselves. Freedom and power above all. A power above all traveling creation. That is the goal. Remember my farewell message. If I come tomorrow, I will tell you who killed Lizaveta. Sonia froze, chilled with absolute horror. Why? Do you know who killed her? Raskolnikov, I know, and I will tell you, only you. I have chosen you. I'm not coming to ask for your forgiveness, but simply to tell you, I chose you to hear this a long time ago. Back when your father first spoke of you, and when Lisa Vida was still alive. Goodbye. Don't shake my hand until tomorrow. He turned and walked out into the night. Sonia gazed after him, completely paralyzed. He looked like a madman, but she felt as if she were losing her own mind too. Her head spun with a chaotic rush of terrifying thoughts. How could he possibly know who killed Leovita? What did his own parting words even mean? Yet, despite the heart of the question, the ultimate truth never even crossed her mind for a single fraction of a second. All she could feel was a crushing, desperate pity for him. He was so intensely, completely unhappy. He had abandoned his own mother and sister. But why? What had driven him to it? And then she remembered the way he had dropped to the floor, kissing her foot, and his voice saying so clearly that he could not live without her. Sonia spent the entire night wrapped in a violent, delirious fever. She would wake at a start, weeping hysterically and wringing her hands in the dark before sinking back into a restless, troubled sleep. Her dreams twisted together in the blood. Polenka, Katerina Ivanovna's coughing fits, Lizavida's shell face, and the open pages of the gospel, and him, with a deathly pale face and burning eyes. It's cutting my face. I don't use it now. kneeling at her feet, weeping. Meanwhile, on the other side of the locked door to the right, the door separating Sonia's room from Ledge's apartment lay a flat that has been advertised as vacant for months. Sonia had long grown used to the silence from that side of the wall. But throughout the entire encounter, Mr. Svirgailov had been standing right there, his ear pressed flat against the door, drinking in every single word. When Raskolnikov finally left, Svirgailov still stood still in the dark, thinking for a moment with a grim smile. He walked on tiptoe back to his own rented room next door, quietly picked up a chair and carried it back to the locked entrance. The conversation he had just intercepted struck him as extraordinarily fascinating and remarkable. He had enjoyed it immensely, so much so that he carefully set the chair down right by the well, determined to listen in complete comfort tomorrow, rather than endure the inconvenience of standing for another hour. Bro, I suspect this isn't complete. Let me check. Let me open the official site for chapter 4. Uh, Bro, बहुत सारा चैप्टर रह गया है. चलो भाई इससे ही पढ़ लेते हैं. या कॉपी मैंने कॉपी मदद करें. क्यू prompt paste starting prompt. I come to see you here हो गया. On a broken chair stood a candle. चलो जब इसे पढ़ते हैं इतना हो गया होगा मेरे साथ. I should be afraid in your room at night, he observed gloomily. They are very good people, very kind, answered Sonia, who still seemed bewildered. And all the furniture, everything is theirs. And they are very kind, and the children too often come to see me. ये अपने पड़ोसी के बारे में they are talking about the neighbors, right? They all stammer, don't they? Yes, he stammers, and he's lame. And his wife too. It's Not exactly that she stammers, but she can speak plainly. She's a very kind woman, and he used to be a house serf. And there are seven children, and it's only the eldest one that stammers, and the others are simply ill, but they don't stammer. But where did you hear about them? She added with some surprise. Your father told me that. He told me all about you. How you went out at 6 o'clock and came back at 9, and how Katrina Ivanovna knelt down by your bed. Sonia was confused. I fancied I saw him today, she whispered hesitatingly. Whom? Father, I was walking in the street out there at the corner about 10 o'clock, and he seemed to be walking in front. It looked just like him. I wanted to go to Katrina Ivanovna. You were walking in the streets? Yes, Sonia whispered abruptly, again overcome with confusion and looking down. Katrina Ivanovna used to beat you, I dare say. Oh no, what you saying? No, Sonia looked at him almost with dismay. You love her then? Love her? Of course, said Sonia with plaintive emphasis. She shakes her hands in distress. Ah, you don't. Ah, you don't. Ah, you don't. If you only knew. You see, she's quite like a child. Her mind is quite unhinged, you see, from sorrow. How clever she used to be. How generous. How kind of. Ah, you don't understand. You don't understand. Sonia said this as though in despair, wringing her hands in excitement and distress. Her pale cheeks flushed. There was a look of anguish in her eyes. It was clear that she was stirred to the very depths, that she was longing to speak, champion, to express something, a sort of insatiable compassion, if one may so express it, was reflected in every feature of her face. Beat me, beat me, how can you? For heavens, beat me. Beat me? How can you? Good heavens, beat me. And if she did beat me, what then? What of it? You know nothing about it. She is so unhappy. Ah, how unhappy and ill. She is seeking righteousness. She is pure. She is pure. She has such faith that there must be righteousness everywhere, and she expects it. Expects it. And if you were to torture her, she wouldn't do wrong. She doesn't see that it's impossible for people to be righteous. She's angry at it. Like a child. She's good. And what will happen to you? Sonia looked at him inquiringly. They are left on your hands, you see. They were all on your hands before. Though, and your father came to you to beg for drink. Well, how will it be now? I don't know, Sonia articulated mournfully. Will they stay there? I don't know. You are in depth with the logic. The landlady, I hear, said today that she wanted to get rid of them, and Katrina Ivanovna says that she won't stay another minute. How is it? How is it she's so bold? She relies upon you? Oh no, don't talk like that. We are one. We'll live like one. Sonia was agitated again and even angry. Angry, as though as a canary for some other little bird was to be angry. And what could she do? What? What could she do? She persisted, getting hot and excited. And how she cried today. Her mind is unhinged. Haven't you noticed it? At 1 minute, she's worrying like a child that everything should be right tomorrow. The luncheon and all that. Then she's wringing her hands, spitting blood, weeping. All at once, she will begin knocking her head against the wall in despair. then she will be comforted again. She builds all her hopes on you. She says that you will help her now, that she will borrow a little money somewhere and go to her native town with me and set up a boarding school for the daughters of gentlemen and take me to superintendent, and we will begin a new splendid life. And she kisses and hugs me, comforts me, and you know she has such faith in her fancies. One can't contradict her. And all the day long, she has been washing, cleaning, and mending. She dragged the wash tub into the room with her feeble hands and sank on the bed, gasping for breath. We went this morning to the shops to buy shoes for Blanca and Lida, for theirs are quite worn out. Only the money we took home wasn't enough, not nearly enough, and she picked out such dear little boots, for she has a taste. You don't know? You don't know. And there is this shop. She burst out crying before the shopman because she hadn't enough. It was sad to see her. Well, after that, I can understand you living like this, Rasulko said with a weird smile. And aren't you sorry for that? Aren't you sorry? Sonia flew at him again. Why? I know you gave your last penny yourself, though you'd seen nothing of it. And if you'd seen everything, oh dear, how often, how often I brought her to tears. Only last week, yes, only a week before his death, I was cruel. How often I've done it. I've been wretched at the thought of it all day. Sonia wrung her hands and as she spoke, at the pain of remembering it. You're cruel? Yes, I went to see them. She went on weeping, and father said, read me something, Sonia. My head aches. Read to me. Here's the book. He had a book he had got from Andrei Semyonovich Lebeziannikov. He lives there. He always used to get hold of such funny books. And I said, I can't stay, as I didn't want to read, and I'd gone in chiefly to show Katerina Ivanovna some collars. Lizaveta, the peddler, sold me some collars and puffs cheap, pretty, new, embroidered ones. Katerina Ivanovna liked them very much. She put them on, looked at herself in the glass, and was delighted with them. Make me a present of them, Sonia, she said. Please do, please do, she said. She wanted them so much. When could she wear them? They just reminded her of her old happy days. She looked at herself in the glass, admired herself. She has no claws at all, no things of her own, hasn't had all these years. And she never asks anyone for anything. She is proud. She would sooner give away everything. And these she asked for, she liked them so much, and I was sorry to give them. What use are they to you, Katerina Ivanovna? I said. I spoke like that to her. I ought not to have said that. She gave me such a look, and she was so grieved at my refusing her. And it was so sad to see she was not grieved for the colors, but for my refusing, I saw that. If I only could bring it all back, change it, take back those words. But it's nothing to you. Did you know Elizaveta the peddler? Yes, did you know her? Sonia asked with some surprise. Katerina Ivanovna is in consumption, rapid consumption. She will soon die, said Raskolnikov after a pause, without answering her question. Oh, no, no, no. Sonia unconsciously clutched both his hands, as though imploring that she should not. But it will be better if she does die. No, not better. Not at all better, Sonia unconsciously repeated in dismay. And the children? What can you do expect take them to live with you? Oh, I don't know, cried Sonia. almost in despair. She put her hands to her head. It was evident that that idea had very often before, occurred to her before. He had only roused it again. And what if even now, while Katrina Ivanovna is alive, you get ill and are taken to the hospital? What will happen then? He persisted pitilessly. How can you? That cannot be. Sonia's face worked with awful terror. Can that be? Raskolnikov went on with a harsh smile. You are not insured against it, are you? What will happen to them then? They will be in the street, all of them. She will cough and bang and knock her head against a wall. And she did today, as she did today, and the children will cry. Then she will fall down, be taken to the police station and to the hospital. She will die. The children. Oh no, God will not let it be. She listened, looking imploringly at him, clasping her hands in the dumb entreaty as though it all depended upon him. Raskolnikov got up and began to walk out the room. A minute passed. Sonia was standing with her hands and her head hanging in terrible dejection. Dejection. And can't you say goodbye for a rainy day? He asked, stopping suddenly before. No, this person. Of course not. Have you tried? He added almost ironically. Yes. And it didn't come off? Of course not. No need to ask. And again, he paced the room. Another minute passed. You don't get money every day? Sonia was more confused than ever, and color rushed into her face again. No, she whispered with a painful effort. Will be the same with Polenka, no doubt, he said suddenly. No, it can't be. No. Sonia cried aloud in desperation, as though she had been stabbed. God would not allow anything so awful. He lets others come to it. No, God will protect her. God, she repeated beside herself. But perhaps there is no God at all. Sonia's face suddenly changed. A tremor passed over it. She looked at him in unutterable reproach. ये सब हो गया. 5 minutes passed. He still paced up down the room in silence, not looking at her. At last, he went up to her. His eyes glittered. He put his 2 hands on her shoulders and looked straight into her terrible face. His eyes were hard, feverish, piercing. His lips twitching. All at once, he bent down quickly and dropping to the ground, kissed her foot. Sonia drew back from him as from a madman, and suddenly he looked like a madman. What are you doing to me? She muttered, turning pale at a sudden anguish clutched at her heart. He stood up at once. I did not bow down to you. I bowed down to all the suffering of humanity, he said wildly and walked away to the window. Listen, he added, turning to her a minute later. I said just now to an insolent man that he was not worth of a little finger, and I did my sister honor, making her sit beside you. You said that to him? ये हो गया. It was not because of your dishonor and your sin. हो गया. Raskolnikov looked strangely at her. He read it all in her face. So she must have had that thought already, perhaps many times, and honestly she had thought out in her despair how to end it so honestly that now she scarcely wondered at his suggestion. She had not even noticed that the cruelty of his words, the cynicalness of his reproaches, and his peculiar attitude towards shame she had, of course, not noticed either. and that too was clear to him. But he saw how monstrously the thought of her disgraceful, shameful position was torturing her, and had long tortured her. What? What? He thought. Could hitherto have hindered her from putting an end to it? Only then he realized that the poor orphan children and that pitiful half crazy Katrina knocking her head against the wall in her consumption meant for Sonia. But nevertheless, it was clear to him again that look right there, that dish TV antenna for 20 seconds. It was clear to him again that with her character and her amount of education and the amount of education she had after all received, she could not in any case remain so. He was still confronted by the question, how could she have remained so long in that position without going out of her mind, since she could not bring herself to jump into the water? Of course, he knew that Sonia's position was an exceptional case, though unhappily not unique and not infrequent indeed. But that very exceptionalness, her sting of education, her previous life, might, one would have thought, have killed her at the first step on that revolting path. But held her up, surely not depravity. All that infamy had obviously only touched her mechanically. Not one drop of real depravity had penetrated to her heart. He saw that. He saw through her as she stood before him. There are three ways before her, he thought. The canal, the madhouse, or at last to sink into depravity, which obscures the mind, turns the heart to stone. The last idea was most revolting, but he was a skeptic. He was young, abstract, and therefore cruel, and so he could not help believing that the last end was the most likely. But can that be true? He cried to himself. Can that creature who has still preserved the purity of her spirit be consciously drawn at last to that sink of filth and iniquity? Can the process already have begun? Can it be that she has only been able to bear it till now because vice has begun to be less loathsome to her? No, no, that cannot be. He cried, as Sonia had just before. No, what has kept her from the canal till now is the idea of sin and they, the children. And if she has not gone out of her mind, who says she has not gone out of her mind? Is she in her senses? Can one talk? Can one reason as she does? How can she sit on the edge of the abyss of the loathsomeness to which she is slipping and refuse to listen when she is told of danger? Does she expect a miracle? No doubt she does. Isn't that all mean madness? He stared obstinately at that thought. He liked that explanation, indeed, better than any other. He began looking more intently at her. So you pray to God a great deal, Sonia? He asked. Sonia did not speak. He stood beside her waiting for an answer. What should I be without God? She whispered rapidly, forcibly, glancing at him with suddenly flashing eyes and squeezing his hand. So that is it, he thought. And what does God do for you? He asked, probing her further. Sonia was silent a long while, as though she could not answer. Her weak chest kept heaving with emotion. Be silent. Don't ask. You don't deserve, she cried suddenly, looking sternly and wrathfully at him. That it, that it, he repeated to himself. He does everything, she whispered quickly, looking down at him. That's the way out. That's the explanation, he decided, scrutinizing her with eager curiosity. With a new, strange, almost morbid feeling, he gazed at that pale, thin, irregular, angular little face, those soft blue eyes, which could flash with such fire, such strong energy, that little body is still shaking with indignation, anger. It all seemed to him more and more strange, almost impossible. She's a religious maniac, he repeated to himself. There was a book lying on the chest of drawers. He had noticed it every time he paced up and down the room. Now he took it up and looked at it. It was the New Testament. And he opened it and looked at it. It was the New Testament in the Russian translation. It was bound in leather, old and worn. Where did you get that? He called to her across the room. She was still standing in the same place, 3 steps from the table. Ah, it was brought me, she answered, as it were unwillingly, not looking at me. Who brought it? Lizaveta. I asked her for it. Lizaveta? Strange, he thought. Everything about Sonia seemed to him stranger and more wonderful every moment. He carried the book to the candle and began to turn over the pages. With the story of Lazarus, he asked suddenly. Sonia looked obstinately at the ground and would not answer. She was standing sideways to the table. Where is the raising of Lazarus? Write it to me, Sonia. She stole a glance at him. You are not looking in the right place. It's in the fourth gospel. She whispered sternly, without looking at him. Find it and read it to me, he said. He sat down with his elbow on the table, leaned his head on his hand, and looked away suddenly, prepared to listen. In 3 weeks' time, they will welcome me in the madhouse. I shall be there, and if I'm not in a worse place, he muttered to himself. Sonia heard Raskolnikov's request distrustfully and moved hesitatingly to the table. She took the book, however. Haven't you read it? She asked, looking up at him across the table. Her voice became sterner and sterner. Long ago, when I was at school, read. And haven't you heard it in church? I haven't been. Do you often go? No, whispered Sonia. Raskolnikov smiled. I understand, and you want to go to your father's funeral tomorrow. Yes, I shall. I was at church last week too. I had a requiem service. For whom? For Lizaveta. She was killed with an axe. His nerves were more and more strange. His head began to go round. Were you friends with Lizaveta? Were you friends with Lizaveta? Yes, she was good. She used to come, and often she couldn't. We used to read together and talk. She will see God. The last phrase sounded strange in his ears. Here was something new again. The mysterious meetings with Lizaveta and both of them, religious maniacs. I shall be a religious maniac myself soon. It's infectious. Read, he cried irritably and insistently. Sonia still hesitated. Her heart was throbbing. She hardly dared to read to him. He looked almost with exasperation at the unhappy lunatic. What for? You don't believe? She whispered softly and as it were breathlessly. Read, I want you to, he persisted. You used to read to Lizaveta. Sonia opened the book and found the place. Her hands were shaking, her voice failed her. Twice she tried to begin and could not bring out the first label. Now, a certain man was sick, named Lazarus of Bethany. She forced herself to last. She forced herself to read at last. But at the third word, her voice broke like an overstrained string. There was a catch in her breath. Raskolnikov saw in part why Sonia could not bring herself to read to him. And the more he saw this, the more roughly and irritably he insisted on her doing so. He understood only too well how painful it was for her to betray and unveil all that was her own. He understood that these feelings really were a secret treasure, which she had kept perhaps for years, perhaps from childhood. While she lived with an unhappy father and a distracted stepmother, raised by grief in the midst of starving children and unseemly abuse and reproaches, but at the same time, he knew now, and knew for certain, that although it filled her with dread and suffering, yet she had a tormenting desire to read and to read to him that he might hear it and to read now whatever might come of it. It read it in her eyes. He could see it in her intense emotion. She mastered herself, controlled this spasm in her throat, and went on reading the 11th chapter of St. John. She went on to the 19th verse. And many of the Jews came to Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. But Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him. But Mary sat still in the house. Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. But I know that even now whatsoever that thou wilt ask for God, God will give it thee. Then she stopped again with a shamefaced feeling that her voice would quiver and break again. Jesus said unto her, the brother shall rise again. Martha said unto him, I know that she shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? She said unto him, and drawing a painful breath, Sonia read distinctly and forcibly as though she were making a public confession of faith. Yea, Lord, I believe that thou art in the Christ, the Son of God, which should come into the world. She stopped and looked up quickly at him, but controlling herself went on reading. Raskolnikov sat without moving, his elbows on the table, his eyes turned away. She read to the 32nd verse. Then when Mary was come where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping which came with her, he groaned in the spirit, and was troubled, and said, Where have ye laid him? They said unto him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Then said the Jews, Behold, how he loved him. And some of them said, Could not this man which opened the eyes of the blind have caused that even this man should not have died? Raskolnikov turned and looked at her with emotion. Yes, he had known it. She was trembling in a real physical fever. He had expected it. She was getting near the story of the greatest miracle, and a feeling of immense triumph came over her. Her voice rang out like a bell. Triumph and joy gave it power. The lines danced before her eyes, but she knew what she was reading by heart. At the last verse, for not this man which opened the eyes of blind, dropping her voice, she passionately reproduced the doubt, the reproach, and the censure on the blind disbelieving Jews, who in another moment would fall at his feet, and as struck by his thunder, sobbing and believing. He who is blinded and unbelieving. अरे भाई ये ना पढ़ना मेरे को. Okay, fuck it. That is all about the raising of Lazarus, she whispered slowly and abruptly. And turning away, she stood motionless, not daring to raise her eyes to him. She still trembled furiously. The candle end was flickering out in the parallel candlestick, dimly lighting up in the poverty-stricken room with the murderer and the harlot who had so strangely been waiting together the eternal week. 5 minutes or more passed. I came to speak of something, Raskolnikov said aloud, frowning. He got up and went to Sonia. She lifted her eyes to him in silence. His face was particularly strong, and there was a sort of savage determination in it. I have abandoned my family today, he said. My mother and sister, I'm not gonna see them. I'm not gonna see them. I've broken with them completely. What for? Asked Sonia amazed. A recent meeting with his mother and sister had left a great impression, but she could not analyze. She heard his news almost with horror. I have only you now, he added. Let us go together. I have come to you. We are both accursed. Let us go our way together. His eyes glittered as though he was mad. Sonia thought in return. Go where? She asked in alarm, and she involuntarily stepped back. How do I know? I only know it's the same road. I know that and nothing more. It's the same girl. She looked at him and understood nothing. She knew only that he was terribly, infinitely unhappy. No one of them will understand. If you tell them, but I have understood. I need you. That is why I have come to you. I don't understand, whispered Sonia. You will understand later. Haven't you done the same? You too have transgressed, have had the same strength to transgress. You have laid hands on yourself. You have destroyed a life, your own. It's all the same. You might have lived in spirit and understanding. If you will end in the hay market, but you won't be able to stand it. And if you remain alone, you will go out of mind like me. You are like a mad creature already. So we must go together on the same road. Let's go. But for what's all this for? Said Sonia, strangely and violently agitated by his words. What for? Because you can't remain like this. That's why. You must look things straight in the face at last and not weep like a child and cry that God won't allow it. What will happen if you should really be taken to hospital tomorrow? She's mad and in consumption. She'll soon die. And children? Do you mean to tell me Polenka won't come to grave? Haven't you seen children here at the street corners, sent out by their mothers to beg? I've found out where those mothers live and in what surroundings. Children can remain children there. The seven the child wishes to receive. Yet children, are the image of Christ. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. He bade us honor and love them. They are the humanity of the future. What's to be done? What's to be done? It's Sonia, weeping hysterically and wringing her hands. What's to be done? Break what must be broken once for all, that's all. And take the suffering on oneself. What you don't understand, you'll understand later. Freedom and power, and above all power, or all trembling creation, all the ant heap. That's the goal. Remember that. That's my farewell message. Perhaps it's not the last time I speak to you. If I don't come tomorrow, you will hear of it all. Remember these words. Someday, इसको बोल दिया ना, Elizabeth of I will tell you. I chose you. Yes. Tomorrow. He went out. Sonia gazed at him like a madman. Good heavens, how does he know killed Elizabeth? It's awful. He says. But for what has happened and what had he made in his mind? What did he say to her? He had kissed her foot and said yes, that he could not live without her. Oh, merciful heavens. Sonia spent the whole night feverish and delirious. She jumped up from time to time, wept and wrung her hands, then sank again into feverish sleep, dreamt of Polenka, Katerina Ivanovna, Elizaveta, of reading the gospel and him him with pale face, with burning eyes, kissing her feet, weeping. On the other side of the door on the right, which divided Sonia's room with Madame Resallet's flat, the room had just stood empty, yes. But all the time, Mr. Suriello had been standing, listening at the door of the empty room. When Raskolnikov went out, he stood still, thought a moment, and yes. अरे यार यही था क्या मैंने फालतू में इतना ज़्यादा पढ़ा एंड करो